Western script, Eastern reality. This is the algorithm. Rewrite the rules. January 9th, 2026. Today's financial headlines are still cluttered with inflation expectations, rate cut paths, and the S&P 500 index. But if you shift your gaze away from the screens and look at the underlying physical data, you'll discover a chilling fact. Global atomic supply and digital credit have completely decoupled. According to the latest budget from the International Energy Agency, IEA, supporting the current expansion of AI computing power will require over $4 trillion in infrastructure upgrades over the next 5 years. Yet, in London and New York, that capital is still spinning aimlessly on electronic ledgers. We are standing on the edge of a physical format.
Everyone loves using GDP to measure a nation's strength, but GDP is a beautified statistic. If a lawyer in Manhattan charges $1 million for a lawsuit, US GDP increases by $1 million. But did that lawsuit produce a single joule of energy? Did it manufacture a single ton of steel? No. It only produced a redistribution of rights. Western civilization has made a fatal error over the past 30 years. They mistook distribution rights for wealth itself. They believed that as long as they controlled the SWIFT system and the pricing power of the dollar, they could eternally exchange pixels for the atoms of distant lands.
This arrogance hit a physical wall in 2026. When we examine the calorie balance sheet, the data is clear. G7 nations consume 40% of the world's primary energy, yet their domestic energy output accounts for less than 15% of the global total. This massive physical void used to be filled by the credit of the dollar. But as credit begins to fracture, the void turns into a black hole.
This is the twilight of the 2D economy. The 2D economy looks at balance sheets. The 3D economy looks at calorie balance sheets. Look at the financial hubs. Their assets are bonds, stocks, and derivatives. These are 2D pixels inside a computer. But the assets held by MBS and the atomic group are crude oil, natural gas, copper, and lithium. These are 3D atoms. The physical audit of 2026 will tell you, when 2D digital permissions demand to be exchanged for more 3D atoms than the Earth can sustain, the system crashes. MBS isn't trying to destroy the dollar. He's simply no longer providing it with a physical guarantee. When oil is no longer forcibly pegged to the dollar reverts from an energy token back into ordinary paper.
The data doesn't lie. By the end of 2025, the share of non-USD currencies in global physical commodity settlements had risen to 35%, the highest in a decade. Meanwhile, average power grid loads in major UK and US cities have been in the red zone of 90% capacity for 3 consecutive years. This isn't a financial crisis. It's a physical short circuit.
Imagine a $1 billion commercial skyscraper in Manhattan. In a 2D world, it's a symbol of immense wealth. But in a 3D world, if it lacks the electricity for air conditioning or the natural gas for heating, it's nothing but a ruin made of glass and steel. When MBS and Putin block energy exports or demand physical assets in exchange for physical goods, the value of these skyscrapers will evaporate overnight. Because you cannot put an S&P 500 index fund into an engine and burn it for fuel. When the operational cost, joules of a city, exceeds the atomic value it controls, the algorithm automatically deems that node invalid. This is the birth of the ghost city.
The format begins when financial elites realize that the numbers they earn cannot buy enough copper to repair transformers or enough rare earths to keep servers running.
So, stop asking me how much the dollar will fall. The question you should ask is, in the atomic audit of 2026, how many joules do you have left in your hand? Because only the physical will survive this great format.
Financial literacy has always been taught through the lens of currency, inflation, interest rates, and purchasing power. But in 2026, these metrics have become obsolete. They are legacy software running on a broken hardware system. The new global ledger is the calorie balance sheet. It is the only audit that matters because, unlike the Federal Reserve, the laws of thermodynamics do not accept political compromises.
If you look at your bank account right now, you see a number. In your mind, that number represents a house, a car, or a comfortable retirement. But in the 3D world, that number is nothing but a digital claim on energy. For 50 years, that claim was guaranteed by the petrodollar system. You gave the world your pixels, dollars, and MBS gave you the atoms, oil. It was a beautiful hallucination. But in 2026, the hallucination has ended. MBS and the BRICS Atomic Alliance have moved to a proof of resource protocol. If you can't provide a joule for a joule, your digital wealth begins to dehydrate.
The data is staggering. Since the transition to the atomic standard, the energy purchasing power of the US dollar has cratered. In 2022, $100 could buy you a specific amount of industrial joules. Today, that same $100 buys you 60% less, not because of consumer inflation, but because the producers of energy no longer value the paper. They are hoarding the calories.
This is what I call asset evaporation. Western investors are still bragging about their 10% annual returns in the stock market. But if the cost of the energy required to run your life, electricity, heating, transport, food, has risen by 50% in the physical world, you aren't getting rich. You are being liquidated by physics. Look at the European manufacturing hubs. They have euro credits out the ears, but they don't have the natural gas to melt steel. Their bank accounts are hydrated with numbers, but their factories are dehydrated of energy. In 2026, a bank account without an atomic anchor is just a high-definition image of a feast while you are starving to death.
The shift is irreversible. The atomic group led by Saudi Arabia and Russia has begun linking their new settlement currencies directly to a basket of commodities: oil, gold, and copper. This is a hard-linked currency. It doesn't rely on trust, it relies on thermal capacity.
When the world switches to the calorie balance sheet, the service economies are the first to be deleted. Why? Because service economies are energy parasites. They consume joules to produce experiences and consultations. In a world of abundance, parasites thrive. In the 2026 audit of Scarcity, the energy producers stopped feeding the parasites. MBS has realized that keeping his oil in the ground is more profitable than trading it for a currency that is being printed into oblivion. He is keeping the calories. You are keeping the pixels.
As the dehydration of the dollar accelerates, the ghost cities we discussed in Part 1 become a mathematical certainty. Wealth is migrating from the centers of credit to the centers of combustion.
So, don't tell me about your portfolio diversification. If your portfolio is 100% digital, you are 100% dehydrated. The 2026 audit is here to ask, is your wealth a mirage, or is it an atom?
The ultimate hope of the Western Empire rests on a single pillar: artificial intelligence. The narrative is simple. We don't need factories or oil because we have the algorithm. We will compute our way out of the crisis. Silicon Valley has sold the world a dream where silicon chips replace carbon fuels. But as the 2026 physical audit begins, the world is discovering a brutal irony. AI isn't the solution to the energy crisis. AI is the world's most expensive energy vampire.
Silicon Valley is hallucinating. They've built an oracle that can write poetry and generate fake videos, but it can't forge a single steel beam. They've spent hundreds of billions on consumption AI, models designed to optimize ad clicks and manipulate human dopamine. In a world of infinite energy, this is a trillion-dollar industry. In the 2026 world of atomic scarcity, these large language models are nothing more than high-tech space heaters. They consume gigawatts of power to produce content, but content cannot be traded for the raw copper needed to repair a failing power grid. The West is trying to fight a 3D war with a 2D brain.
The numbers reveal a catastrophic disconnect. By 2025, data centers accounted for nearly 10% of total US electricity demand. While the atomic group was building physical pipelines and nuclear reactors, the West was burning its remaining energy reserves to train chatbots. This is a massive thermodynamic misallocation of capital.
While the West plays with generative opium, the East has pivoted to kinetic AI. They don't care if their AI can write a screenplay. They want their AI to synchronize the global distribution of rare earth minerals. They want AI to automate the deep-sea mining of cobalt. They want AI to manage the atomic firewall that blocks Western digital claims. This is the difference between virtual intelligence and physical command. In 2026, the algorithm that controls the physical valve is the only one that survives. The algorithm that only generates pixels becomes a liability. When the power goes out in San Francisco, the world's smartest AI is just a collection of dark, silent silicon.
The great formatting of 2026 is revealing the true cost of the digital dream. Every prompt sent to a Western AI is a tiny withdrawal from an energy bank account that is already overdrawn.
The reality is offensive to the tech elites. AI is a derivative of electricity. If you don't control the atomic input, you don't control the AI. MBS and the Atomic Alliance have realized they don't need to build a better chatbot. They just need to own the copper and the power that the chatbot feeds on. Western AI is like a Ferrari with no gas tank. It's beautiful to look at, but it's going nowhere. In the 2026 audit, we don't measure tokens per second. We measure grams of copper per token. And the math says the West is bankrupt.
As the physical world reasserts its dominance, the ghost cities of finance find their twin in the ghost servers of Silicon Valley. Infrastructure that cannot produce its own energy is destined for the scrap heap of history.
So, stop betting on software. Software is just a set of instructions. If the hardware, the physical world, refuses to listen, your software is just a silent screen in a digital void. The 2026 audit doesn't care about your cloud. It cares about your ground.
The collapse of an empire doesn't always begin with a bang. Sometimes it begins with the quiet sound of a thermostat clicking off. In 2026, we are witnessing the implementation of the Ghost City Protocol. This isn't a planned urban policy. It is the natural consequence of the atomic audit. When a city's primary export is opinions and intermediation, and its primary import is energy, the math eventually forces a shutdown. The skyscrapers of London, New York, and Zurich are no longer monuments of triumph. They are high-maintenance fossils.
Look at the service economy for what it truly is, a high-maintenance luxury. A hedge fund manager in a Manhattan penthouse requires an entire supply chain of atomic inputs, jet fuel, organic produce, climate control, and fiber optic security, just to exist. In return, he produces alpha, digital gains. In the petrodollar era, the world accepted those digital gains as wealth. But in 2026, the producers of the world, the ones pulling the lithium from the ground and the oil from the sand, have looked at the bill and said, no more. They are no longer willing to subsidize the luxury lifestyle of the intermediary class. The result? The atomic withdrawal.
The evacuation is happening in stages. First, it's the capital flight. Not of money, but of physical reliability. Reliable power, reliable food, reliable heat. When the cost of maintaining a 50-story office tower in London exceeds the atomic value of the legal fees generated inside it, the building effectively dies. The elevators stop. The lights dim. The service elite begin to flee not because they are poor in pixels, but because they are impoverished in atoms.
This is the de-urbanization of the virtual. For 30 years, we were told the cloud made geography irrelevant. We were told you could live in a digital penthouse and rule the world. 2026 is the year the world strikes back. The ghost cities of finance are being formatted because they have no root access to the physical world. Think about it. If you are an AI engineer in San Francisco or a banker in Canary Wharf, and the grid goes into a rolling blackout because the atomic group decided to redirect their energy to their own automated factories, what is your 7-figure salary worth? Nothing. You can't bribe a transformer with a stock option. You can't eat a management fee.
The protocol is a slow-motion cascade. Commercial real estate collapses because the energy to maintain it is too expensive. The tax base evaporates because the service professionals migrate to atomic havens, regions with local nuclear power and food security. The infrastructure rots because there is no copper left in the budget to fix it.
The service economy was a beautiful experiment, but it was built on the assumption of infinite atomic subsidy. MBS and the BRICS Plus Alliance have simply revoked the subsidy. They have decided that the atoms are more valuable than the agreements. The final stage of the Ghost City Protocol is the Great Disconnect. One day the servers will go dark, and the financial hubs will realize they are just collections of overpriced concrete. They will be ghost cities, not because they are empty, but because they are powerless.
The map of the world is being redrawn. The centers of power are no longer where the accounts are kept, but where the combustion happens. The 2D empires are fading. The 3D reality is here.
So, here is your final 2026 audit. Are you living in a city that produces pixels, or a city that controls atoms? Because one is a digital mirage, and the other is the future of human civilization. The format is complete. Welcome to the real world.
The audit is clear. The era of digital illusions is over, and the era of physical reality has begun. The formatting of the 2D world isn't an event you can stop. It is a thermodynamic process you must survive. As the ghost cities of finance continue to cool, the question isn't whether the system will change, but whether you will be left behind in the digital void.
Most people will spend the next 12 months watching their pixel wealth evaporate, wondering why their financial advisors didn't see this coming. They didn't see it because they don't have root access to the physical laws of 2026, but you are different. You've listened to this audit. You now understand that joules matter more than dollars, and atoms matter more than algorithms.
This is only the beginning of our 2026 physical audit. To navigate the great format, you need more than just news. You need the raw data of the atomic age.
If you want to secure your position before the Ghost City Protocol reaches your doorstep, you need to join us. Subscribe and hit the bell. Don't let the algorithm filter the truth out of your feed. Join our private Atomic Audit channel. Link in the description and comments. Inside the private channel, we go beyond the scripts. We track the real-time movement of copper, the hidden energy pivot of the BRICS Alliance, and the specific atomic assets that will survive the dehydration of the dollar. We provide the root access you won't find on Bloomberg or CNBC.
The world is being reformatted. Don't be a file that gets deleted.
The 2026 audit is live. Secure your atoms. We'll see you on the inside.